My chosen vessel of destiny, today is not an ordinary day. Today, on May 2nd, heaven has marked your name in golden ink. And I need you to hear this clearly, because what I am about to reveal is not symbolic, it is not poetic, and it is not coincidence. It is divine timing. Today, on May 2nd, God and Archangel Michael say $5 million is being sent to your name at 5 p.m. This miracle can only happen if you open this right now. Yeah, this is about you. Right now, as you are listening, there is a spiritual transaction taking place in realms you cannot see. There is movement in the atmosphere. There is a release being authorized, and your obedience in this very moment is connected to it. Do not brush this aside. Do not say, "This sounds impossible," because heaven does not operate by your logic. Heaven operates by divine appointment. Archangel Michael stands as a defender of God's promises. And today, he stands at the edge of your breakthrough. He is not fighting against you. He is fighting for you. There hath been resistance around your finances. There has been delay. There have been doors that closed right when you thought they would open. But this is different. This is a marked day. 5 p.m. is not random. It is a prophetic hour. The number 5 represents grace. And today, grace is being multiplied over your name. What you could not earn, what you could not achieve by strength, what you could not calculate with logic, is being prepared by divine favor. And yet there is a condition. This miracle can only happen if you open this right now. Not because God is testing you in fear, but because obedience activates alignment. Heaven responds to movement. The moment you clicked this message, something shifted. The moment you decided to listen instead of scroll, you stepped into a different frequency. There are thousands who saw this title, but you were the one who stayed. That is not an accident. Archangel Michael is revealing that there was a financial blessing assigned to your bloodline years ago, but it was delayed by doubt, by fear, by hesitation. Not just yours, but generational patterns. Today, that chain is being broken. But here is what you must understand. The $5 million is not only about money. It represents restoration, influence, impact, and a platform. It represents the ability to build what you were called to build without begging for permission. It represents freedom from survival mode. And at 5 p.m., there is a window. Windows do not stay open forever. There is a reason you are hearing this before that hour arrives. Heaven does not surprise without warning. God whispers before he moves. And Archangel Michael clears the battlefield before the blessing lands. Something has been trying to convince you that you are not worthy of overflow, that you shouldn't settle, that just enough is your portion. That voice is not from God. God is not a God of barely surviving. He is a God of abundance with purpose. But abundance requires readiness. If $5 million landed in your hands without preparation, it could destroy what it was meant to bless. That is why this message matters. This is not just about receiving, it is about aligning. Right now, you may feel a mixture of excitement and disbelief. Attention is the sign that this word is piercing through limitation. Ask yourself, why does this stir something inside you? Because your spirit recognizes what your mind is still questioning. Archangel Michael is saying that at 5 p.m., something will shift in your physical reality. It may come through an opportunity. It may come through a decision. It may come through unexpected news. But the seed of $5 million is being released. And seeds grow where there is faith. Opening this message was the first act of faith. Listening fully is the second. Acting on what God places in your heart next will be the third. This is not about sitting and waiting for money to fall from the sky. This is about positioning yourself so when the opportunity arrives, you recognize it. Many miss miracles because they have stigmatic, but miracles often arrive disguised as assignments. Between now and 5 p.m., pay attention. Watch the signs. Be sensitive to instructions that feel unusual but peaceful. Archangel Michael does not bring chaos. He brings clarity and courage. If an idea suddenly feels urgent yet aligned, do not ignore it. There has been a battle over your confidence, a battle over your belief that you can handle wealth. But today, that battle is ending. Heaven is not asking if you are perfect. Heaven is asking if you are willing. Because the miracle can only happen if you open this right now, and you did. That action has already spoken. Something irreversible has begun. And this is only the beginning of what is about to unfold. Beloved soul under divine attention, there is something you must understand before 5 p.m. arrives. The announcement of $5 million being sent to your name is not just a headline of hope. It is a spiritual alert. When God speaks of increase, the enemy tries to whisper confusion. When heaven prepares elevation, doubt tries to sit on your shoulder. But today, Archangel Michael is not allowing confusion to rule your mind. Since the moment you heard that this miracle is connected to 5 p.m., there has been a stirring inside you. Maybe you checked the time. Maybe you felt anticipation. Maybe you even questioned why this message feels so urgent. That reaction is not random. It is proof that your spirit is engaged. There are financial shifts that happen quietly. And then there are financial shifts that shake systems. What is being prepared for you belongs to the second category. This is not about small change. This is about a transfer that rewrites your narrative. Archangel Michael is revealing that there were contracts in the unseen realm with your name on them. Contracts of lack. Contracts of delay. Contracts that limited how far you could go. But on May 2nd, those contracts are being reviewed by divine authority. And what does not align with God's plan is being revoked. You have struggled long enough in cycles of almost breakthrough, almost promotion, almost success. But almost is not your destiny. Completion is. The $5 million represents completion. It represents the closing of one chapter and the forceful opening of another. And as 5 p.m. approaches, you may notice unusual clarity. You may suddenly see solutions where there were problems. You may feel boldness rising in places where fear once lived. This is not imagination. This is preparation. God does not release overflow into a mindset that still thinks small. That is why this message came before the hour. It is stretching your expectation. It is expanding your belief. Right now, pause internally and ask yourself, if this truly manifested, what would change? Not just externally, but internally. Would you finally forgive yourself? Would you finally step into leadership? Would you finally stop shrinking to make others comfortable? Because the miracle is not only about funds. It is about transformation. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian of purpose, and he is declaring that wealth attached to purpose cannot be stolen. It cannot be sabotaged. It cannot be delayed beyond its appointed time. 5 p.m. is symbolic of divine grace colliding with divine action. 5 is grace. p.m. marks the second half of the day. This means what was not completed in the first half of your life can be completed in the second. But here is where you must participate. Do not treat this word casually. Engage with it. If this message is stirring something deep inside you, declare your agreement. Speak out loud that you are ready. Alignment is activated by agreement. And let me say this clearly, when you publicly align with a prophetic word, you strengthen your faith. So if this message is speaking directly to you, make sure you like this video, share it with someone who needs a breakthrough, and write a powerful comment declaring that you are ready for your 5 p.m. miracle. When you engage, you are not boosting an algorithm alone. You are making a statement in the spiritual realm that you are not hiding from your blessing. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. This is not just content. This is alignment. This is preparation. This is equipping. And when you become part of this community, you place yourself in an atmosphere where faith is constantly being built. Because what is coming requires community, not isolation. Archangel Michael is also showing that some of you will receive ideas before 5 p.m. that seem simple but carry massive potential. Do not underestimate small instructions. $5 million does not always arrive in one visible package. Sometimes it arrives as a strategy that multiplies over time. Between now and that hour, guard your thoughts. Do not entertain negativity. Do not speak doubt. Words are seeds. And on a day like today, seeds sprout quickly. You were led to open this for a reason. You were meant to hear this before the clock strikes 5. And something within you knows that this is more than coincidence. Hold on to that knowing. Because what is about to be revealed next will connect the dots in a way you did not expect. Trust me, the next layer of this message will challenge and empower you at the same time. Faithful one who has not overlooked the atmosphere around you today is heavier than usual, not with fear, but with significance. There are days that pass quietly, and then there are days that carry divine weight. May 2nd is carrying weight over your name. And as 5 p.m. draws closer, the unseen realm is adjusting itself to accommodate what heaven has authorized. You may not see angels moving. You may not hear thunder. But spiritual shifts do not need noise to be powerful. Archangel Michael is standing in position, sword drawn not in aggression, but in protection. There has been contention around your increase. There have been whispers that you are not ready, that you would mismanage abundance, that you should remain where you are comfortable. But those whispers are being silenced. This $5 million miracle is not random generosity. It is strategic release. God does not send overflow without intention. The question is not whether heaven can provide. The question is whether you are ready to steward what is coming. And this is where the true miracle begins. Because the greatest transformation is not in your bank account. It is in your belief system. For years, you have subconsciously limited yourself. You have asked for enough to survive, not enough to build. You have prayed for relief, not for expansion. But today, the tone of your destiny is changing. Archangel Michael is declaring that your ceiling is being lifted. 5 p.m. represents a divine appointment, and appointments require presence. If you miss an appointment, it is not because it was not available. It is because you were not attentive. This message is your reminder to stay spiritually alert. Something may happen at 5 p.m. that looks ordinary on the surface. A phone call, an email, an idea, a sudden realization. But what makes it extraordinary is the timing. Heaven is weaving threads together that have been loose for years. There were opportunities that slipped away in the past because your confidence was not aligned. There were doors that opened but intimidated you. There were moments when you felt called to step forward but stepped back instead. Today is not a repeat of those moments. Today is redemption of them. Archangel Michael is not only guarding your blessing. He is strengthening your courage. Wealth without courage becomes a burden. but wealth with courage becomes impact. And here is a deeper revelation. The $5 million is not simply a number. It is a symbol of multiplication. 5 multiplied by divine grace. It represents what happens when human obedience meets heavenly acceleration. As this hour approaches, you may feel emotions rising unexpectedly. Excitement, nervousness, hope, even resistance. Do not judge these emotions. Observe them. They are indicators that something inside you is shifting. God is not testing your worthiness. He is revealing it. You were not chosen because you are flawless. You were chosen because you are willing. There is humility in you that wealth will not corrupt. There is compassion in you that resources will amplify. There is vision in you that funding will activate. Archangel Michael is reminding you that protection surrounds this transfer. What is being prepared for you cannot be easily stolen, manipulated, or sabotaged. Divine assignments come with divine security, but alignment is still required. Between now and 5 p.m., speak life. Speak expectation. Speak readiness. Do not say, if it happens. Say as it unfolds. Language shapes reality. And today, your words are especially powerful. There is also something else you must know. The miracle may not look exactly like the phrase $5 million in one single moment. It may unfold in stages. It may begin as access, connection, or insight that leads to multiplication. Do not limit God's method because you are attached to a specific format. Archangel Michael is clearing confusion from your path. What once felt tangled will begin to feel simple. What once felt delayed will begin to accelerate. You are stepping into divine momentum. And as you receive this word, let your faith respond. If this message is resonating with your spirit, if you feel that this is not coincidence but confirmation, then participate in this moment. Type "I receive divine transfer" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 4599 has just been released. As you declare it, you are not performing for anyone. You are aligning your voice with heaven's decree. There is power in agreement. There is activation in declaration. The clock is moving. The hour is approaching. And what is about to unfold carries more layers than you realize. Heaven is not playing with your emotions. Heaven is positioning your destiny. And this is only the surface of what is being unlocked today. If this message stirred something deep inside you, understand that you are not just watching a video. You are standing in a divine moment. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are fueling a river of prophetic light that reaches souls who are on the edge of giving up. God says, as you water others, I will water you. This is your moment to say, I choose to be a vessel. Let your giving become a seed that unlocks harvest in unseen lives. Do not delay obedience when your spirit is moved. Release your seed now, and watch how heaven responds to your faith. Precious one standing at the edge of acceleration, there is a silence before breakthrough that many misunderstand. It feels like nothing is happening. It feels like the world is unchanged. But silence in the spirit is not absence. It is alignment. And right now, as this day continues to unfold, you are standing inside that sacred silence. After receiving the revelation of what 5 p.m. represents, something within you has shifted. You are more aware, more alert, more sensitive to timing. That awareness is not accidental. It is preparation. Archangel Michael is revealing that your name hath been spoken in places you cannot see. Not in gossip, not in criticism, but in authorization. There has been a divine discussion about your readiness, and the conclusion was this: you have matured through the struggle. Struggle was not sent to destroy you. It was sent to train you. There were seasons when you asked God why doors kept closing. There were nights when you wondered if you misunderstood your calling. There were moments when financial pressure made you question your value. But heaven was not ignoring you. Heaven was refining you. Because when increase comes, it exposes character. The $5 million is not only about provision. It is about proof. Proof that delay was not denial. Proof that resistance was not rejection. Proof that your faith did not go unnoticed. As 5 p.m. approaches, you may begin to see subtle confirmations. A repeated number. A familiar scripture coming to mind. A conversation that aligns perfectly with this message. These are not coincidences. They are gentle nudges reminding you that you are in divine flow. Archangel Michael is also highlighting something important. Fear often disguises itself as practicality. It will tell you to lower your expectations so you are not disappointed. It will tell you to prepare for the worst so you are not surprised. But today, you are not being called to prepare for loss. You are being called to prepare for overflow. Overflow requires vision. If resources multiplied in your hands, what would you build? What would you restore? Who would you help? These questions are not hypothetical. They are prophetic exercises. When you allow yourself to envision impact, you expand your capacity to receive. God does not pour new wine into an old mindset, and this message is stretching your mindset. Archangel Michael is guarding your focus right now. There may be distractions trying to pull your attention away. Random worries, sudden doubts, unnecessary conversations. Recognize them for what they are, attempts to dilute your expectation. Stay centered. Stay intentional. The miracle connected to this day is not fragile, but your attention matters. What you focus on grows. If you focus on doubt, doubt grows. If you focus on possibility, possibility expands. There is also a deeper layer to this transfer. The $5 million represents influence. Influence over your environment. Influence over your family's future. Influence over the narrative that once defined you. You are not meant to remain at the mercy of circumstances. You are meant to shape them. Archangel Michael is declaring that the cycle of financial anxiety is being confronted. Anxiety told you that you would always have to fight for scraps. But today, heaven is speaking abundance over your name. Abundance does not mean recklessness. It means freedom from constant fear. And here is something many overlook. When God increases you, He increases your responsibility. This is not pressure. It is purpose. Resources amplify whatever is already in your heart. If compassion is in your heart, compassion will multiply. If vision is in your heart, vision will expand. That is why this moment is sacred. Between now and 5 p.m., check your motives. Not with guilt, but with clarity. Align your heart with gratitude. Align your spirit with humility. Say within yourself, if this unfolds in ways I cannot yet see, I will steward it with wisdom. Archangel Michael is not only fighting external resistance, he is strengthening internal stability. Because true wealth is sustained by inner discipline. You may also notice that some people around you feel unsettled today. Sometimes when your atmosphere shifts, others sense it without understanding it. Do not absorb their uncertainty. Remain steady. The miracle is not noise. It is a verity. As the clock moves closer to the appointed hour, breathe deeply. Release tension. This is not a test you can fail. This is an invitation you can accept. And acceptance is simple. It begins with trust. Trust that you were led here intentionally. Trust that May 2nd is marked for more than routine. Trust that 5 p.m. is not an empty symbol. Archangel Michael stands as a witness to what is unfolding. And heaven does not exaggerate its promises. Something is aligning behind the scenes. Something is being positioned in your favor. And the closer you get to that hour, the clearer it will become that this day was never ordinary. What happens next will challenge everything you thought you knew about timing and provision. Steady heart chosen for increase. The closer you move toward the appointed hour, the more intense the internal battle can feel. Not because something is going wrong, but because something powerful is about to go right. When destiny approaches, resistance often tries one final whisper. It sounds like logic. It sounds like caution. But beneath it is fear of expansion. Right now, you may feel a strange tension between expectation and hesitation. One part of you is ready to believe fully. Another part is trying to protect you from disappointment. That internal dialogue is not weakness. It is the final layer of old thinking being confronted. Archangel Michael is showing that this is the moment where many turn back. Not physically, but mentally. They shrink their hope. They lower their faith. They say, maybe I misunderstood. And in doing so, they step out of alignment just before the door opens. You are not going to do that. The $5 million being spoken over your name is not bait. It is not fantasy. It is representation of a level of provision that changes structure. Structure of your routine. Structure of your relationships. Structure of your options. Until now, many of your decisions were filtered through limitation. You calculated based on what you had, not what was possible. But heaven is preparing to shift you from survival calculations to visionary planning. A transition feels uncomfortable because it demands trust. Archangel Michael is guarding your mind from sabotage. There have been patterns in your past where, just before breakthrough, something distracted you. An argument, an unexpected expense, a discouraging comment. These were not random interruptions. They were attempts to shake your focus. Notice what is happening today. There may be subtle distractions trying to pull you into unnecessary stress. Do not engage them. Protect your peace. Your calm is not passive. It is powerful. The significance of 5 p.m. is increasing as the minutes move forward. Think about this. When an important delivery is expected, you become attentive. You check the door. You listen for movement. In the same way, your spirit should be attentive right now. But attentiveness is not anxiety. It is readiness. There is also something deeper unfolding. The number 5, representing grace, is meeting your obedience. Grace means unearned favor. But favor does not override responsibility. When grace and responsibility meet, acceleration happens. Archangel Michael is declaring that your obedience today is rewriting spiritual records. You chose to open this message. You chose to listen. You chose to consider that this day could be different. Those choices matter. Do not underestimate small obedience. Small obedience positions you for large outcomes. You may be wondering how exactly $5 million can be connected to your reality. The answer is not limited to one channel. Provision can come through investments, partnerships, business ideas, inheritance, settlements, creative breakthroughs, or doors that were previously invisible. Heaven has more pathways than you have awareness of. What matters most is posture. If your posture is skeptical and closed, you will miss subtle opportunities. If your posture is humble and alert, you will recognize them. Archangel Michael is also reminding you that increase is not only financial. Influence, authority, and clarity are forms of wealth. And you receive one, you often receive the others. That is why this moment carries weight beyond numbers. Take a breath and reflect on who you were 5 years ago. The insecurities, the confusion, the limitations. You are not the same person. Growth has happened quietly. Maturity has formed through pressure. Wisdom has been shaped by mistakes. You are more ready than you think. Sometimes God waits until your character can sustain what your prayers requested. The delay was protection. The waiting was preparation. Now the preparation is meeting opportunity. As 5 p.m. approaches, speak gratitude in advance. Not forced gratitude, but expectant gratitude. Say within yourself, I thank you for what is aligning. I thank you for clarity. I thank you for provision unfolding in the right way. Gratitude aligns your heart with trust. Archangel Michael is positioned not only as protector but as witness. A witness to your endurance. A witness to your private tears. A witness to the sacrifices no one applauded. Heaven saw it all, and heaven responds to faithfulness. There is a shift in your timeline today. What once felt far is drawing near. What once felt impossible is becoming plausible. And as this hour draws closer, you may begin to sense that something is indeed moving in your favor. Do not retreat now. Stay open. Stay aligned. Because what unfolds next will reveal whether you truly believe that this day was marked for you from the beginning. Courageous soul standing in sacred anticipation, the atmosphere is tightening now. Not in pressure, but in precision. You are moving closer to 5 p.m., and something inside you can feel that this is not just another hour passing on a clock. There is a spiritual synchronization taking place. Heaven's timing is intersecting with your awareness. As this intersection approaches, distractions may attempt to increase. Sudden responsibilities, unexpected conversations, old fears resurfacing. This is not coincidence. When breakthrough is near, noise often rises. But Archangel Michael is standing firm, shielding your focus from fragmentation. Do not allow small disturbances to pull you out of alignment. There is a reason this message reached you before the appointed time. Revelation is protection. If heaven released opportunity without preparation, many would mishandle it. But you have been prepared through endurance, through patience, through seasons where you had to stretch every resource and still believe for more. The $5 million spoken over your name is not simply a number meant to excite you. It represents scale. It represents a level of expansion that requires upgraded thinking. You cannot step into large territory with a small mindset. Right now, your thoughts matter more than ever. If you think, this is too big for me, you shrink your capacity. If you think, I am learning to steward greater things, you expand it. Archangel Michael is strengthening your internal language. Because what you repeatedly say within yourself becomes your ceiling or your launch pad. Take a moment and observe your internal dialogue. Is it fearful or faithful? Is it doubting or daring? This awareness is not for guilt. It is for adjustment. The significance of 5 p.m. is growing with each minute. You may notice yourself checking the time more frequently. That anticipation is natural. But remember, miracles are not controlled by anxiety. They are aligned by trust. Trust does not mean you understand every detail. It means you remain open even when the method is unclear. There is also something else unfolding. As you near this appointed hour, your discernment is sharpening. You may suddenly recognize opportunities you previously ignored. You may recall ideas you once dismissed. that clarity is not accidental, is activation. Archangel Michael is clearing mental fog. What once seemed confusing is beginning to feel structured. What once felt overwhelming is becoming manageable. This is the sign of internal alignment. And let me speak directly to you about something important. When you engage with this message, when you declare your faith publicly, when you like this video, share it with someone who is also waiting for breakthrough, and write your expectation in the comments, you are not performing for anyone. You are reinforcing your belief through action. Action strengthens faith. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do so now. This is not just about notifications. It is about staying connected to an atmosphere that builds expectation instead of feeding doubt. And if this word is igniting something within you, consider becoming a member of this community. Surround yourself with voices that remind you of your destiny. There is a reason you are still listening. Something in your spirit refuses to dismiss this as coincidence. That persistence is powerful. And now, as 5 p.m. draws nearer, guard your emotional state. Do not let impatience replace anticipation. There is a difference. Impatience demands. Anticipation trusts. The $5 million miracle may begin in a form you did not predict. It could start as a conversation that opens a door. It could manifest as a strategy that multiplies over time. It could appear as access to a network that accelerates everything. Do not reduce God's creativity to a single format. Archangel Michael is reminding you that divine provision often travels through human channels. Stay attentive to emails, messages, invitations, impressions. What looks small can be the seed of something massive. You have spent years in preparation without realizing it. Every lesson, every mistake, every recovery built capacity within you. Capacity attracts opportunity. Right now, your responsibility is simple. Remain aligned. Remain calm. Remain expectant. Something is aligning beyond your immediate sight. And when the clock reaches that appointed moment, you may realize that the shift began long before you saw visible evidence. Do not lose focus now. What is about to unfold will require you to recognize it quickly and respond with courage. And you will thank yourself for staying attentive in this very moment. Chosen one who did not turn away, you are now standing in the final stretch before the appointed hour. The air feels different, even if nothing visible has changed. There is a spiritual intensity that comes when prophecy is about to intersect with reality. And whether you realize it or not, you have been preparing for this intersection your entire life. The journey that brought you here was not random. Every disappointment shaped resilience. Every delay strengthened endurance. Every closed door redirected you toward something greater. What once felt like rejection was actually refinement. And refinement always precedes release. As 5 p.m. approaches, something within you is being tested, but not in the way you think. You are not being tested for worthiness. You are being tested for stability. Can you remain steady when expectation rises? Can you remain grateful before confirmation appears? Can you stay anchored when anticipation tries to become anxiety? Archangel Michael is standing beside you in this moment of inner evaluation. Not judging, not pressuring, guarding, strengthening, reminding you that your breakthrough is safest in hands that are calm. There is a powerful truth you must grasp right now. Miracles are often misunderstood because people expect spectacle. But heaven often moves with precision, not noise. What is being aligned for you may not announce itself loudly. It may unfold quietly, yet permanently. The $5 million spoken over your name carries layers. It represents compensation for seasons of underpayment. It represents restoration for missed opportunities. It represents expansion into territories you once thought were unreachable. But expansion requires identity shift. If you still see yourself as someone who barely survives, you will unconsciously sabotage abundance. If you begin to see yourself as a responsible steward of increase, you align with the blessing. Right now, identity is being upgraded. Archangel Michael is cutting through old labels that once defined you. Labels of failure. Labels of limitation. Labels given by others who could not see your potential. Those labels do not fit where you are going. You may feel a quiet boldness rising, a subtle confidence that was not there before. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. As the clock continues forward, observe your thoughts carefully. If doubt whispers, counter it with truth. If fear suggests disappointment, answer it with expectation. This is not denial. It is discipline. You have spent enough years rehearsing worst-case scenarios. Today, you are rehearsing breakthrough. There is also a deeper layer unfolding beneath the surface. The miracle connected to 5 p.m. is not just about immediate impact. It is about trajectory. It shifts your long-term path. One decision, one connection, one opportunity can alter decades. Do not underestimate turning points. Archangel Michael is reminding you that some breakthroughs arrive disguised as responsibility. You may receive an opportunity that feels demanding. You may encounter a door that requires courage to walk through. That does not mean it is not the miracle. It may mean it is exactly the assignment attached to the blessing. The $5 million is not meant to create laziness. It is meant to unlock legacy. Legacy is built by those who understand that increase is a tool, not a trophy. And you are being positioned as someone who builds, not someone who wastes. Take a deep breath right now and recognize how far you have come. There was a time when even hearing a promise like this would have felt impossible. But today it feels plausible. That shift alone proves growth. As you approach 5 p.m., remain attentive but relaxed. Do not force outcomes. Do not create artificial signs. Let what is meant to unfold reveal itself naturally. Archangel Michael's presence signifies protection over this process. What is for you will not be intercepted. What is aligned with your purpose will not be diverted. What carries your name will not miss its destination. And here is something crucial. Even if the manifestation begins subtly, do not dismiss it. Some of the greatest financial transformations begin with one seed that multiplies rapidly under wisdom. You are not just waiting for money. You are stepping into momentum. Momentum begins internally before it becomes external. Stay centered. Stay receptive. Stay courageous. Because the hour is nearly here. And when it arrives, the true test will not be whether heaven moves. The true test will be whether you recognize that it already has. Anointed listener, standing in divine timing, the appointed hour has arrived in the spirit before it appears on the clock. There is a crossing taking place right now, a line between what was and what will be. And whether the manifestation unfolds in one dramatic moment or begins as a quiet shift, something irreversible has been set into motion. 5 p.m. is not merely a time stamp. It is a spiritual checkpoint. It marks the transition from preparation to activation. And if you are still here, still listening, still believing, then you have crossed that line with awareness. Archangel Michael is declaring that what has been authorized cannot be unauthorized. What has been released cannot be recalled. The transfer spoken over your name is now in motion. It may not yet be fully visible, but movement has begun. This is where many misunderstand miracles. They expect fireworks. They expect instant confirmation. But often, heaven initiates change in ways that require discernment. A new idea may suddenly feel urgent and clear. A conversation may open access to something larger. A door that seemed permanently shut may quietly unlock. Do not overlook subtle beginnings. The $5 million attached to your name represents scale, yes, but it also represents strategy. Wealth without wisdom dissolves. Wealth with strategy multiplies. And right now, wisdom is being heightened within you. Notice your thoughts. Notice your impulses. Notice the clarity emerging where confusion once lived. That clarity is part of the miracle. Archangel Michael is also revealing that protection surrounds this transfer. There were forces that tried to delay your progress, patterns that attempted to keep you in limitation. But today marks a break in that cycle. The ceiling that once restricted you has been lifted. You may not see the full picture yet, but seeds have been planted in fertile ground, and fertile ground produces results. There is something powerful about the fact that you opened this message when you did. Timing matters. Awareness matters. Agreement matters. When you aligned your faith with this word, you activated participation in the process. Do not minimize that. The shift may begin with opportunity disguised as responsibility. You may feel prompted to take a step you previously avoided. You may sense that a bold move is required. Courage is often the bridge between prophecy and manifestation. Archangel Michael stands not only as protector, but as encourager. You are not stepping forward alone. You are being fortified internally for what unfolds externally. And here is a deeper revelation. Sometimes the first sign of financial breakthrough is mental freedom, a release of fear, the quiet confidence that says, I am capable of stewarding more. That internal release precedes visible increase. The miracle is not just about money landing. It is about you rising. As you cross this appointed moment, stay attentive in the coming hours and days. What unfolds may require quick recognition. Do not dismiss opportunities because they look different than you expected. Heaven rarely repeats itself in predictable patterns. The $5 million is symbolic of abundance with assignment. You are not being increased to impress others. You are being increased to influence environments, to build what was once only imagined, to break patterns in your bloodline. This is legacy territory. And because this moment carries weight, respond to it. If this message is resonating deeply, declare your alignment. Type "My hour has come" in the comments if this confirms your spirit. Blessing code 8801 is now activated. As you type it, you are not chasing hype. You are sealing agreement. Words carry creative power. Agreement strengthens expectation. The shift has begun. Do not measure it only by immediate evidence. Measure it by internal transformation. Measure it by the courage rising within you. Measure it by the clarity replacing confusion. And now, let this moment extend beyond you. If this word has marked your spirit today, understand that you are part of something larger than a single message. When you release a seed through Super Thanks membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are helping light reach someone who is still in darkness, someone who is one message away from hope. God declares, as you sow generously, you will reap abundantly. This is not about supporting a platform. It is about fueling a harvest of transformed lives. Say within yourself, I respond to this moment. Let your giving become prophetic action that aligns you with overflow. Do not hesitate when your heart is stirred. Release your seed now and step into the blessing that follows obedience. Steadfast believer walking into manifestation now that the appointed hour has been crossed. Something subtle but powerful has shifted. You may not have seen lightning. You may not have heard an audible voice. But in the unseen realm, authorization has already turned into movement. And movement, once started, does not easily reverse. This is the stage where faith matures. Before 5 p.m., anticipation carried you. Now awareness must sustain you, because what hath been released may unfold in layers, not in one single instant. And those who understand layers do not panic when everything does not appear at once. Archangel Michael is revealing that the transfer spoken over your life is progressing through channels that require alignment on your part. You are not passive in this process. You are a participant. You may begin noticing opportunities surfacing in unusual ways. An idea that once seemed unrealistic now feels achievable. A connection that once felt distant suddenly feels accessible. A pathway that once appeared blocked now shows cracks of possibility. Do not ignore these shifts. The $5 million is not only a destination. It is a journey of positioning. And positioning sometimes feels like responsibility before it feels like reward. There is also something important happening within your identity. Since hearing this message, you have been stretching internally. You have allowed yourself to imagine more, to consider expansion, to see yourself as capable of stewardship at a higher level. That internal expansion is not small. It is foundational. Archangel Michael is reminding you that wealth flows toward stability. If your inner world remains chaotic, you will repel what requires structure. But if your inner world is calm, disciplined, and focused, you attract what multiplies under order. Take a moment and evaluate your current posture. Are you still expecting, or have you slipped back into skepticism? Have you remained attentive, or have you returned to routine without awareness? This is not condemnation. It is correction. The miracle connected to this day is not fragile, but your response determines how quickly it manifests fully. When heaven initiates movement, human cooperation accelerates it. You may also sense a rise in responsibility around you. New tasks, new conversations, new decisions. Do not interpret this as pressure. Interpret it as preparation. When capacity increases, responsibility expands. The $5 million spoken over your name represents influence as much as income. Influence requires wisdom. Wisdom requires attentiveness. Archangel Michael is strengthening your discernment in this season. You will begin to sense what aligns and what does not. What is opportunity and what is distraction. That clarity is part of the blessing. There is another layer to consider. Sometimes, when a major shift begins, old patterns try to reassert themselves. Old spending habits, old fears, old self-sabotage. Be alert. Breaking cycles requires conscious effort. You are not stepping into overflow to repeat limitation. You are stepping into overflow to redefine your trajectory. If you receive unexpected news in the coming days, pause before reacting emotionally. Evaluate it through the lens of alignment. Ask yourself, does this move me closer to expansion or back into fear? Archangel Michael's presence signifies protection, but protection does not remove personal responsibility. It strengthens your ability to choose wisely. And here is something profound. Sometimes the first tangible evidence of breakthrough is peace. A deep, steady peace that replaces years of financial anxiety. If you feel that calm settling over you, do not dismiss it. Peace is confirmation that alignment has taken place. You are no longer waiting in uncertainty. You are walking in expectation. The shift that began at 5 p.m. is not confined to a single minute. It marks the beginning of a season. And seasons unfold over time, Remain grateful. Remain disciplined. Remain bold. The $5 million miracle is unfolding through pathways that may surprise you. But surprise does not mean confusion. It means expansion beyond your previous understanding. Archangel Michael stands as witness that what hath been decreed is in motion. Your task now is not to chase signs. It is to steward awareness. Because the next stage of this unfolding will require decisive action. And when that moment arrives, you will recognize it, not because it shouts, but because it resonates deeply within you. Steadfast believer walking into manifestation now that the appointed hour has been crossed. Something subtle but powerful has shifted. You may not have seen lightning. You may not have heard an audible voice. But in the unseen realm, authorization has already turned into movement. And movement, once started, does not easily reverse. This is the stage where faith matures. Before 5 p.m., anticipation carried you. Now awareness must sustain you. Because what hath been released may unfold in layers, not in one single instant. And those who understand layers do not panic when everything does not appear at once. Archangel Michael is revealing that the transfer spoken over your life is progressing through channels that require alignment on your part. You are not passive in this process. You are a participant. You may begin noticing opportunities surfacing in unusual ways. An idea that once seemed unrealistic now feels achievable. A connection that once felt distant suddenly feels accessible. A pathway that once appeared blocked now shows cracks of possibility. Do not ignore these shifts. The $5 million is not only a destination. It is a journey of positioning. And positioning sometimes feels like responsibility before it feels like reward. There is also something important happening within your identity. Since hearing this message, you have been stretching internally. You have allowed yourself to imagine more, to consider expansion, to see yourself as capable of stewardship at a higher level. That internal expansion is not small. It is foundational. Archangel Michael is reminding you that wealth flows towards stability. If your inner world remains chaotic, you will repel what requires structure. But if your inner world is calm, disciplined, and focused, you attract what multiplies under order. Take a moment and evaluate your current posture. Are you still expecting, or have you slipped back into skepticism? Have you remained attentive, or have you returned to routine without awareness? This is not condemnation. It is correction. The miracle connected to this day is not fragile, but your response determines how quickly it manifests fully. When heaven initiates movement, human cooperation accelerates it. You may also sense a rise in responsibility around you. New tasks, new conversations, new decisions. Do not interpret this as pressure. Interpret it as preparation. When capacity increases, responsibility expands. The $5 million spoken over your name represents influence as much as income. Influence requires wisdom. Wisdom requires attentiveness. Archangel Michael is strengthening your discernment in this season. You will begin to sense what aligns and what does not. What is opportunity and what is distraction. That clarity is part of the blessing. There is another layer to consider. Sometimes, when a major shift begins, old patterns try to reassert themselves. Old spending habits, old fears, old self-sabotage. Be alert. Breaking cycles requires conscious effort. You are not stepping into overflow to repeat limitation. You are stepping into overflow to redefine your trajectory. If you receive unexpected news in the coming days, pause before reacting emotionally. Evaluate it through the lens of alignment. Ask yourself, Does this move me closer to expansion or back into fear? Archangel Michael's presence signifies protection, but protection does not remove personal responsibility. It strengthens your ability to choose wisely. And here is something profound. Sometimes the first tangible evidence of breakthrough is peace. A deep, steady peace that replaces years of financial anxiety. If you feel that calm settling over you, do not dismiss it. Peace is confirmation that alignment has taken place. You are no longer waiting in uncertainty. You are walking in expectation. The shift that began at 5 p.m. is not confined to a single minute. It marks the beginning of a season, and seasons unfold over time. Remain grateful. Remain disciplined. Remain bold. The $5 million miracle is unfolding through pathways that may surprise you. But surprise does not mean confusion. It means expansion beyond your previous understanding. Archangel Michael stands as witness that what hath been decreed is in motion. Your task now is not to chase signs. It is to steward awareness. Because the next stage of this unfolding will require decisive action. And when that moment arrives, you will recognize it, not because it shouts, but because it resonates deeply within you. Resilient spirit marked for elevation, you are no longer standing at the edge of prophecy. You are standing inside the unfolding of it. What was once spoken as anticipation is now operating as momentum. And momentum requires maintenance. This is the stage where many people relax too quickly. They assume that because the word has been declared and the hour has passed, everything will simply arrange itself without further alignment. But that is not how divine increase works. Heaven initiates. You respond. Heaven accelerates. You steward. Since the crossing of 5 p.m., something in your awareness has sharpened. You may have noticed patterns revealing themselves more clearly. You may have sensed doors that feel closer than before. Or perhaps you feel an unusual push to organize, plan, or restructure aspects of your life. That urge is not random. It is preparation for scale. The $5 million spoken over your name represents expansion beyond your current structure. Expansion without structure collapses. Expansion with structure multiplies. Archangel Michael is not only guarding your blessing, he is guiding your discipline. You are being nudged toward order, toward clarity, toward responsibility. Ask yourself honestly, if significant increase arrived this week, is your current system ready to manage it? Are your habits aligned with overflow, or are they shaped by survival? These questions are not meant to intimidate you. They are meant to elevate you. There is also a spiritual dynamic at work here. When increase is near, old temptations sometimes reappear. The temptation to procrastinate. The temptation to spend impulsively. The temptation to doubt your worthiness. These are subtle traps designed to keep you at your previous level. Do not fall into them. Archangel Michael is reinforcing your strength in this moment. You are not the same person you were during past cycles. You have learned. You have matured. You have endured enough to recognize patterns before they fully form. The shift that began is now asking for partnership. That means paying attention to opportunities that require action. If a door opens, walk through it. If an idea persists, explore it. If a connection feels aligned, nurture it. Do not wait for perfect clarity before moving. Sometimes clarity increases after the first step. The $5 million miracle may unfold through strategic decisions that compound over time. Investments, business moves, collaborations, creative launches. What matters most is that you remain attentive and courageous. And as you remain engaged with this message, let your engagement reflect your belief. If this word continues to confirm what you are sensing internally, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs encouragement in their financial journey. Write in the comments what shift you have already begun to notice. Your declaration strengthens your focus. If you have not subscribed yet, do so now and turn on notifications. Stay connected to messages that reinforce expansion instead of limitation. And if this community has been building your faith, consider joining as a member. Surround yourself intentionally with voices that call you higher. There is a reason you are still here. Something within you refuses to treat this as entertainment. You sense that it carries weight. Now, let us speak plainly about stewardship. Stewardship is not just about handling money wisely. It is about managing energy, time, and focus. If your schedule is chaotic, wealth will feel overwhelming. If your mind is scattered, opportunity will feel stressful. Begin organizing your life as if expansion is inevitable. Clear unnecessary clutter. Simplify commitments that drain you. Create space for strategy. Archangel Michael is emphasizing preparation because preparation shortens delay. Many blessings linger outside reach because structure is missing. But you are building structure now. There is also an emotional dimension unfolding. You may feel moments of vulnerability as you envision greater responsibility. That is normal. Growth stretches comfort zones. But do not retreat into familiarity just because it feels safe. You were not called to remain small. The miracle is not only about receiving $5 million. It is about becoming the version of yourself who can manage it with wisdom and humility. Momentum is building quietly. Do not disrupt it with impatience or neglect. Stay consistent. Stay alert. Stay disciplined. Because what is forming now will soon demand decisive movement. And when that moment arrives, hesitation will be your only obstacle. You are closer than you think to seeing tangible confirmation. But confirmation often follows commitment. Remain committed. Remain bold. The unfolding is not finished. It is intensifying. Focused hard and trusted with greater things, you are now in the phase where unseen movement begins to crystallize into visible direction. What started as a prophetic declaration is shaping itself into practical steps. And this is where maturity matters most. The energy around you is no longer just anticipation. It is instruction. Since the shift at 5 p.m., there has been subtle guidance forming in your thoughts. Perhaps you feel drawn to research something specific. Perhaps you feel urged to reconnect with someone. Perhaps you feel prompted to restructure your finances, your business, or your priorities. These nudges are not random impulses. They are alignment signals. Archangel Michael is not only protecting the blessing, he is directing your steps toward it. The $5 million miracle does not simply drop into unprepared hands. It flows toward clarity, discipline, and courage. And what you are experiencing now is refinement of those qualities. There is a temptation at this stage to look for dramatic confirmation, to demand instant proof that everything spoken is materializing exactly as imagined. But that demand can create unnecessary pressure. Instead of forcing visible signs, focus on responding to the subtle ones. The shift has already begun internally. You think differently. You evaluate differently. You are less reactive and more intentional. A transformation alone is evidence of movement. Archangel Michael is emphasizing patience without passivity. Patience does not mean doing nothing. It means acting wisely without panic. You may begin to see opportunities that require calculated risk. Not reckless leaps, but bold steps. The difference between stagnation and breakthrough often lies in one courageous decision. Ask yourself, what step have I been postponing out of fear, What idea have I delayed because it felt too large? What conversation have I avoided because it required vulnerability? The $5 million spoken over your life represents scale. Scale requires expansion beyond comfort, and comfort zones rarely produce legacy. There is also a relational dimension to this shift. As your capacity increases, some connections may naturally shift. Not out of conflict, but out of alignment. Growth sometimes changes who can journey with you into the next level. Do not cling to environments that reinforce small thinking. Surround yourself with voices that challenge and sharpen you. Archangel Michael is guarding your environment because environment shapes momentum. If you consistently expose yourself to doubt, doubt grows. If you expose yourself to vision, vision expands. This is why your continued presence here matters. You are choosing reinforcement over resistance. There is another layer you must understand. The unfolding of this miracle may stretch across days, weeks, or even months. But that does not invalidate the shift that began. A seed planted at a specific hour can take time to surface. The planting moment is still sacred. What began on May 2nd at 5 p.m. was activation. Activation precedes manifestation. You may also notice that your tolerance for mediocrity is decreasing. Tasks you once avoided now demand completion. Habits you once excused now feel misaligned. But discomfort is growth. The $5 million is not simply about provision. It is about transformation of standards. Raise your standards for discipline. Raise your standards for focus. Raise your standards for faith. Archangel Michael is strengthening your backbone so you do not retreat when responsibility increases. You are not being overwhelmed. You are being upgraded. Take time to visualize the impact of full manifestation. Not just the financial relief, but the generational change. The opportunities created. The doors open for others. When you anchor your vision in impact, motivation deepens. You were not positioned for this word by accident. You were drawn here because your spirit was ready to expand. Now remain steady. Review your plans. Strengthen your systems. Clarify your goals. Align your habits. Because the next visible confirmation may require immediate response. And hesitation could slow what momentum has already begun. Archangel Michael stands watch over your progress. Protection surrounds your path. But your steps still matter. Continue moving. Continue refining. Continue believing. The unfolding is not fading. It is concentrating. And the final layer of this revelation will seal what has already been set in motion. Victorious soul sealed for overflow, you have walked through every layer of this revelation with intention. What began as a shocking declaration has now become a structured awakening. Today, on May 2nd, at 5 p.m., something shifted, not just around you but within you. And that internal shift is the true evidence that this word was never empty. The $5 million spoken over your name was never meant to be reduced to a fantasy number. It was a divine signal, a wake-up call, a prophetic announcement that your season of limitation has expired. The real miracle was not only about what could enter your bank account. It was about what could exit your mindset. And if you are honest, something has exited. Fear has weakened. Doubt has loosened its grip. Small thinking has been confronted. You are no longer the person who first opened this message. You have been stretched, challenged, elevated. That is how heaven works. Archangel Michael did not stand guard over this word for entertainment. He stood guard because this was a turning point, a line drawn in your timeline that separates survival from strategy, scarcity from stewardship, hesitation from boldness. The crossing at 5 p.m. marked activation. But activation is not the end. It is the beginning of responsible expansion. And now the question is no longer, will it happen? The question is, how will you manage what unfolds? Because the unfolding has already begun. Perhaps you have not yet seen the full manifestation. That is not failure. That is process. Seeds germinate beneath the soil before they ever break the surface. And what was planted at that appointed hour is alive. Look at your awareness now. You are thinking structurally. You are evaluating your habits. You are considering your environment. You are imagining legacy. That is not random growth. That is divine preparation. The $5 million represents scale. Scale requires systems. It requires discipline. It requires courage to say no to what drains you and yes to what stretches you. Archangel Michael is not only protecting your blessing, he is protecting your transformation. And here is the deeper truth. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not immediate wealth. It is the creation of a mind capable of producing it sustainably. If you have gained clarity, confidence, and conviction through this word, then you have already stepped into the beginning of abundance. Do not measure the miracle too quickly. Measure it by momentum. Are you more decisive now? Are you more disciplined now? Are you more expectant now? If the answer is yes, then movement has already begun. This is where many people lose their breakthrough. They celebrate the emotional hype but neglect the practical follow-through. Do not be that person. Take what you have received and build with it. Organize your goals. Strengthen your financial literacy. Pursue aligned opportunities. Guard your focus fiercely. You were not stirred for nothing. May 2nd will not be remembered as the day you watched a message. It will be remembered as the day you decided to expand. Archangel Michael stands as witness that what was spoken has been recorded. Heaven does not forget declarations aligned with faith. Now seal this moment with intention. Type "I step into overflow" in the comments if you are committed to stewarding this new season. Blessing code 9707 is now activated. Let that declaration mark your transition. Not as hype, not as emotion, but as agreement with growth. The hour has passed. The shift has begun. The responsibility is now yours. Walk boldly, build wisely, and never shrink back into the version of yourself that doubted what was possible. As this revelation closes, hear this clearly. This was not just a message about money. It was a trumpet call to expansion. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks membership, with a PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are planting into fertile ground that carries God's word to hearts on the brink of surrender. The Lord declares over you, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down and overflowing." This is your moment to say, "I respond to the call." Let your seed become a river that unlocks breakthrough in countless lives. Do not delay when conviction rises. Act now. Release your support and step into the harvest that follows obedience.